to be cleaned. It is looking a little dirty, a little soiled. So let's just get that fixed right here. So bear with me for a sec, please. That's gonna look really funny to you, but there's a public service announcement. Always clean your camera, especially if you're doing selfies, if you didn't know that. If you were doing selfies, that's like where your face oils and makeup and things like that get on that front facing camera. So you always want to clean that off. Always, always. All right, friends, I think, what just happened there? That's not it. I think we're here. I mean, I know I'm here, but I know you guys are here. So give me 1 second while I just had it up. That was odd. That was odd. Oh, no. Here it is. There we go. Oh, let's turn that down because that is my iPad wanting to talk to us. We don't want the iPad talking to us, do we? All right. Well, it's almost a new year, right? Christmas is away. My Christmas red nails are away. I am fully embracing all the new things, right? Anyhow, welcome, friends. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Hello. Happy, happy Monday. Oh my goodness, I had to think about that. Because normally we do Saturdays or Wednesdays, so I had to think about what day it was. It's that weird little time between Christmas and New Year's where it's like, what? Oh, what? What day is it? What time is it? What did I eat today? What shouldn't I have eaten today that I did? Right? It's that weird, people joke calories don't count during the time between Christmas and New Year's. Anyhow, yes, happy Monday. And happy, oh my gosh, 2026 season pass, right? That's why you're here tonight. We are going to dive into the 2026 winter spring season pass. And specifically, we are using products in the 2026 winter spring season pass kit to set up our traveler's notebooks for the month of January. Now, this may be totally new to you. You may have been following Layla by Mel. You may have been following me for a while and done some of my classes or participated in our creative listing sessions on Saturdays here. This class I have been doing every month for about 10 years because this is one of the ways that I use a traveler's notebook. And we'll talk about that as we get going. But earlier this month, as I was thinking, like, you know what? I think I'm just going to start opening up this class to everyone because why not, right? It is kind of a tried and true formula that I have, that I've been using, like I said, for about 10 years to set up a particular traveler's notebook that I use every month. And so you will learn all about it. You may have purchased the Season Pass kit. You may have purchased one or two of the pieces of Season Pass. You may have not purchased anything. Regardless of why you're here, welcome. And that is our plan for tonight. We will have a lot of fun. In these classes, Reggie, the cat, is over in his little bucket in the corner. Lots of education, lots of tips and tricks and things like that. So you're in for a treat tonight, hopefully. And these classes will continue to be free. So I do one of these once a month because I am setting up my traveler's notebook each month. All right. So if you're watching live, there is a live chat that takes place. If you want to pop in the chat and say hello, well, more like this, hello, type with your little fingers. I would love to know that you're here. If you would also very quickly thumbs up. If you give the video a thumbs up, that is one of the easiest things that you can do to support, truly easiest, any content creator that you're watching, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or any of the socials, right? Thumbs up would be awesome. I would love that. All right, so with the live chat, I'm going to very quickly just take a quick peek to see who's here. I'll say hello, and then we'll dive in, all right? Yay! Hello, Tabitha. Nice to see you. Tabitha said, let's get 2026 started. Hi, Cindy with the purple hearts. Lisa Hale, Ms. L, Linda Messina, Maritza. Hello, Maritza. Happy New Year. Yes, almost Happy New Year, right? Tomorrow is New Year's Eve day. So we're just around the corner. I will tell you, I have been freezing cold today. So I have like this giant fleece, kind of really cozy. And you know what's going to happen? In probably 5 minutes, I'm going to be dying. I'll have to take it up. I have a t-shirt already, so it's okay. We'll see how we do. Let's see. Hello, Penny. Penny, so nice to see you. She said, hi, Lusky. She said, hi, everyone. No, wait. Hi, everyone. Long time Leo lover, first time in the chat. Penny, I'm so glad that you said hello. I love that. I love it. And I would challenge others of you, if you are watching and you've been more of a long time listener, first time caller. You know what I mean? Pop in the chat and say hi. Deanna, hello, hello. Paula and Shane. Janine, Kathy G is here from Colorado. She's excited to start this in January, and you're learning so much from me. I love that. I love it. Lusky, our 25-year-old son just walked in. I think Nick made dinner, and just texted Sam and said, "Hey, guess what? Do you want dinner?" And you know what? Did they ever say no? No. So go have dinner.
Nothing beats a home cooked meal.
Nothing beats a home cooked meal. You're right. Yeah.
Especially when he's cooking.
Especially when Dad's cooking, because
actually,
only Dad cooks.
The only thing that beats Dad's cooking is Jack's cooking.
Jack's cooking. Okay, our older son, who's a chef. All right, enough of that. Yes, bye. But it's life, right? It's life. So family pops in and you say hello, right? I know you guys don't mind that. Let's see. Nancy Iman, hello. Cindy Borcherding. Jesse Tramontana. Karen is excited to use Season Pass. So many new items. Oh, yes. We did a total revamp. I'm really excited. Well, you guys, I'll be playing with it. So you will see me play with it. And I think I said too in the email about the free class, if you've ever wondered how I personally use some of my products, that's what these classes are all about. Karen's 592. Oh, that was yeah. Hello, Wanda. Nice to see you. The Queen Bee 8. She is in love with the Season Pass. Me too. I shared I have I started working earlier this year with a brand new graphic designer. Brand new to me. Well, she and I go way back. We actually worked at Basic Gray together. Like 2008, a really long time ago, if you know that company. That's my friend Becky Moore. And Becky and I reconnected this year, and she's been doing stamps for me since about April. Metal dies for me since about April, all my packaging, and now Season Pass. And she also did Year in Review, if you are familiar with that new project kit. And she will be doing Season Pass all year. She's it. She's my guy. She's my guy, my gal, whatever you say. So very pleased with how everything has turned out and super excited to dig into it with you guys tonight. Denise, welcome back, Denise. Wink, wink. Thumbs up. If you guys, Denise is reminding us to please give thumbs up. I love it. Hello, Valerie. She said it's a great way to start off 2026. Hello, Miss Vicky Booten. How are you, my friend? Oh my gosh, I will tell you. So Nick and I, with some other friends, went to the hockey game last night. Utah has a NHL, professional hockey team. So we went to that last night, and I got home, and I don't know, it was about 10:30, I think. And Vicky and I ended up talking on the phone for, 45 minutes or something. Poor Nick, my husband's in bed. He's like, "Would you stop yelling?" Because when I get excited to talk to my friends, sometimes I get a little loud. And yeah, so we had a nice chat. Nice chat. Debbie Haynes, hello, good afternoon from Sydney, Australia. Hello, Debbie Haynes. It's a beautiful sunny day there for New Year's Eve. Yeah, you guys are Southern Hemisphere, so as we're really in the middle of winter right now, you guys are loving the beautiful weather. Wanda said, I bought all the season passes last year. I wasn't going to this year, but now I don't know. Wanda, maybe it's time to change your mind. We'll see, huh? Karen Perkins, hello from East Texas. Heather Graham, hello. Bev Hillis, Carol K from Central Canada. Hi to you. Nice to sweet. Yeah, it's very cozy. Very cozy. We've got lots of Canadians in the house. I love it. Hey, what? Okay. Carrie Meredith said, hey, Squirrel Squad, happy Tuesday night. I can't believe we're almost at the end of the year. I know, isn't it crazy? Penny from Arkansas. Oh, good. Hi, Penny. Nice. I'm glad that you said that. And Denise, nice to have you back too. Trudy Morrison. Trudy.
Hi, Vicky.
New Zealand? Trudy? Do I have that? Maybe? I might have you mixed up with someone else. I'm thinking maybe. I remember weird things about people. Run Punky Boo, I love that. Excited to be here with Glow. All right, Glow. G-Lo. Glow. Gloria. Yeah. All right. Carol put Christmas away as well. Hi, Lisa Hale. I know, did I say soiled? I don't know. Sometimes I make myself sound much older than I am.
Love you too, Vicky.
Oh, you can see.
I can see on your phone.
You can see. All right, because So this is actually, Sam standing there is a throwback to, oh my gosh, like March of 2020 when I first started doing these. Almost 6 years, I know. And Sam came home from college because, everybody came home. And He was in here with me. We had quite a lot of fun. He was so bored of tears that, yeah. Kate Lowe, you just got your season pass in the mail yesterday. I love that. I love that. Wendy McTurk, hello, hello. Carrie Mayer said, man, I really hope it's not still Monday. That would break my heart. I think I missed something. Is it Monday?
No, it's
No, it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh my gosh, like seriously. You guys, I work all day every day, so I really have no concept of what day it is.
Mom, tomorrow is New Year's Eve.
It's Wednesday. Yeah, you're right.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Yeah. And you know what? I just do that to make sure you guys are paying attention. You know that, right? Right. Hi, Susie Sewell. Bev Morgan. Yeah, it's Tuesday. I know. So sorry to like make everybody go, no, we really don't need another day in 2025, right? I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to the calendar flipping over to the next year, right? Debbie Haynes said it's 12:35 in Australia, in Sydney. Hello, Nancy from Texas. Karen, hi from Stevie from New Zealand. Hello. Pam Solms, hi Pam, nice to see you. All right, friends, I think I'm just about to end of our list. Dawn Kuchel, she's looking forward to joining for 2026. Sarah, Karen Stewart, Laura from mid Missouri. Virginia Lopez from Costa Rica. Nice to see you. Are you normally from Costa Rica, Virginia? I mean, I don't know. Jolene is scraping all day. I think she meant scrapping all day. I think there's a P missing in it. I don't know. Maybe you're scraping. Maybe you are a dental hygienist. You know, I'm just having fun with you guys. Hello, Shannon Cummins, Jody Sutton, all from Perth, Western Australia. I love it that you ladies that live in the Southern Hemisphere, a lot of times, especially when you are other side of the world, and the time change that you guys, when I do an evening, it's easier for you to join me. Yeah, as opposed to Saturday mornings, right? So lovely having you ladies. All right, we've got Maureen. Hello, Maureen from Ontario, Canada. All right, Cheryl Fielding. Hi, Cheryl. All right, I am going to, okay, I'm scrolling to the end. If I have missed you, just know, welcome. So happy to have you here. The chat, as we start working, is a great place for you to ask questions or to leave comments. If I missed something that you had typed, once I flip the camera, if you want to type that again, then it's a lot easier for me to see. All right, so with that said, let's dive in, okay? I think we're ready to dive in. Still crossing fingers. If you joined me the last couple of Saturdays, or even last Saturday, I sent a letter of intent on a warehouse space. So I'm very excited about that. They're now trying to figure out with the current tenant, when the current tenant can vacate. So, but all of that to say, I also, in the month of December, have invested in lots of new filming equipment and hardware and all different kinds of things, software. But I'm holding off on getting all of that set up until business moves out of the house, and then I'll have a filming studio in the house where I can set everything up and leave it. All of that to say, it's still a little, clunky. So I've got to turn off the lights, move the lights, rotate, and all the things. But we'll just get going. We'll get going. Just know, yeah, there's lots of big things happening around here between the move and new filming equipment and all kinds of things like that. And so many new products coming. Holy cow. The way that product development works, you generally are working, I'd say anywhere from 4 to 6 months in advance. So believe it or not, 2 weeks ago, we already wrapped up all of the design for the Season Pass Q2 for spring summer. We are also working on a brand new travel collection that'll get released in May. We're also working on the idea book. Just a lot going on. And you know what? We'll start Christmas probably in about late March, early April. So it's always just coming, right? It's always coming. Okay, Virginia, you live in Texas, but you're visiting family in Costa Rica. I know I was going to say Virginia. I didn't think that you were from there, or else I missed that. All right, friends, here we go. And I just have to read the last comment because that was just so sweet. Lisa said, you call it funky, I call it charming and real. And really, that's what it is. I mean, I have a business. I am a professional business person, but the filming is just, I know you guys don't care, right? I know you don't care, but we'll get there. And guess what else? I'm going to take this nice fleece off because I'm feeling a little toasty. All right. So if you are new to Season Pass, or if you are new to my bi-monthly process of kind of setting up my traveler's notebook, we're going to take a little walk down memory lane. So I thought this would be a great time to kind of bring everybody up to on the same page or same speed. Thank you, Jolene. I did plug in. All right. So every month for literally for the last 10 years, every month I have set my traveler's notebook up, and I do use more than one. I use more than one traveler's notebook. So when I say I set up my traveler's notebook, I am speaking to, hi Sarah, I am speaking to this particular traveler's notebook that I use that has my monthly calendar in it. It has another insert for notes, project planning, quotes, it's just kind of a mismatch of things. So every month I am decorating it for the month because, I like to do that. So this is what December looked like. I use Season Pass in a traveler's notebook. You're seeing my my Lail by Mail black and cream scallop. So that's what I had in December. And this is what my setup looked like for December using the fall holiday Season Pass. So it's all cute. For me, this part is form versus function. You know what I mean by that? This is purely decorative because when I am opening this particular traveler's notebook, it's because I have work to do. So I figure I might as well have a nice little decorative element here. I can look at and give myself a smile before I have to get to work. So we always use the product to decorate the pockets, and then we slip cover two traveler's notebook inserts. So this was my setup for the month of December. So the start of a new month, or really at the end of a new month, as I'm getting ready to move into a new traveler's notebook, there's a couple things that happened. Number one, I removed the slip covers from my traveler's notebook insert, right? So this was my monthly calendar insert for the entire year. So this was all of 2025. And because I'm using it all year, I don't want Christmas on the cover all year, or I don't want snow or Valentine's or hearts or flowers or whatever. I like to change this up. So the way that I do that is by creating slip covers. So that is one of the things that we will do tonight. We will create our slip covers. Now, I thought I would kind of back up a little bit when it comes to kind of the whole concept of slip covering, right? This was the first traveler's notebook insert that I had ever covered. Way back in the day. So this is probably maybe 8 years ago. I was working for Simple Stories, and while I was at Simple Stories, we launched the Carpe Diem brand, which was our planner brand. And so for a long time, our traveler's notebook inserts at Simple Stories were decorative. So the covers were decorative. And one point I thought, you know what? It was November, and I thought, I think I'd like to decorate my traveler's notebook insert specifically for the month of December. Now, you can see this is Seen Better Days because it's 7 or 8 years old, but I keep this around for this reason. So I got so excited. I found a pattern paper that I liked. I got out my glue stick, and I glued that paper to the cover of my traveler's notebook insert, which was great for December. It was super cute. But guess what happened? January rolled around, and then I went, oh, that wasn't very smart because I glued it to the cover. I wasn't done working in it, right? I just barely started working in this one. And I went, oh yeah, guess what? It's glued. I can't really get it off. So that's when I kind of started thinking, I like the idea of changing this up every month. However, I don't want to glue the paper. So I thought, I bet I could create a slip cover. So that's one of the things that we will do today. We will create the slip covers for our inserts. And when we do that, it's going to remind you of being in 3rd grade and the first day of school. When you'd go to school and you'd get all your textbooks that were 83 and a half years old, right? And their teachers would say, hey, you want some extra credit? Take your textbook home, get some brown shopping bags, grocery bags, because back then, that's what we used, right? All the shopping bags were brown, craft colored, and that's how we would recover our textbooks so that they would last another 82 years and that we could have fun and doodle on them and everything. So when we get to the point where we're doing our slip covers, we'll do a little walk down memory lane there. So One of the biggest questions I get when we are talking about our traveler's notebook set up like this, and what happens when the month is over, right? You've spent good money on the product, and you spent a lot of time kind of getting everything together. Excuse me. And so people will say, well, what do you do with all of this? Do you just throw it away? And I say, oh my gosh, no, don't throw it away. All of these things are perfectly usable, right? So I thought I'd show you a couple of the things that we've done in the past, or I've done in the past with some of my setups. I've got a little frog in my throat here, so let me take a quick hydration break, okay? Really quick. All right, so one of the things, sometimes what I do is I take one of those slip covers and I just cut it down. So this was one of our slip covers for the month of October. And if you think that it looked like this, right, it came from a slip covered, our little slip cover. All I did was kind of cut this part out and put it on a card base. Like, so easy, right? So easy to do something like that. Another thing that I've done, and this is what I did in the month of November. So this was my setup for November, and my pockets are decorated. I had the slip covers. This is what I did with that. I came into one of my other traveler's notebook inserts that I used for listing, and I took this piece and cut it and used it as a base for a list. I did the same thing over here with the other side of that, right? Used that for kind of the other side of my list. And then all of these little things in the pockets that I just took, pulled them all out in one piece and adhered them to this little kind of in-between page, right? I even used this little tiny side piece as part of kind of that spread, all right? So those are just a couple of ideas when, if you are doing this with me and you're thinking, well, I don't want to waste all the product when I'm done with it. You shouldn't. Do something with it, right? Figure out something to do with it and do with it. I will give you another idea when we get towards the end of class on something you could do with it. All right, so let me get this out of here. I have, normally I take this slip cover off of my calendar, and then this is one of the inserts that I am starting anew with. But guess what? The year's over, right? So I'm starting a brand new monthly calendar insert as part of my setup, and we'll see that. All right. So I need to take this slip cover out. I end up always making two of these, right? I end up making my sample that we work from, and then the one that I actually work in. So we're seeing me unload my little sample here. Okay, so I have one insert and I have two inserts. With your kit, if you're buying the season pass kit, you get two of my lined traveler's notebook inserts. But I'll use one of those and then also use my brand new calendar insert. So we'll get there. All right, so let's go ahead and pull out the product in the season pass kit that is for January. Season pass kit, it comes packaged, if you buy the full kit, in one of my 13.5 by 13 craft storage pouches, all right? Because these have been out for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. So if you happen to see something that look just like this out on the market that is a different color up here and a different manufacturer name up here, just know that Lael's been doing them 2 years. Okay? Okay. But you can always also buy these if you like the craft storage pouches. You can also buy these, a la carte. But they come with season pass if you buy the full kit. So I have opened up the kit and I have pulled out just the papers for the month of January because that's what we're working with, right? All right. So this is the cover. Sometimes we use part of the cover. We'll use a little bit of the cover today. We won't use this side, but I will use something from this side. All right. So there is always a usable pattern on the back side, and you can decide whatever you'd like to use this with. One thing that's nice about the cover, if you are working with Season Pass, it is kind of organized or sorted month by month. So you can see all the A and B sides there. So if you're ever not sure, like, ooh, I don't know what month that paper goes to, then you'll see kind of their group like that. Now, if you want to mix the papers up, you totally can. And that's part of one of the things that Becky has really worked on for Season Pass for 2026 is that a lot of your colors work really well together, right? So that if you're using Season Pass for scrapbook pages or cards or something like that, that you can kind of mix and match those papers into the other months. Here you have the die cuts that are also grouped. So this, when the die cuts were designed, like all of these right here were kind of meant to be used for January, all of these for February, all of these for March. So if you are doing your setup with me, you might do something like this, where I separate, oops, this one goes over here. I separate my die cuts into all 3 months. So then it makes it really easy just to find what I'm looking for. So I'm not, kind of digging through a package or something like that. All right, so one thing that I want to mention in your kit, you may have 2 of these papers. And if you have 2 of these papers, this is not on accident. When you turn them over like this, you will see this. So the printer made a little error and printed the B side of one of these papers incorrectly. And I said, well, that's not going to work. I need it printed correctly. So they said, well, you can keep, nothing we're going to do with the incorrect one. So this is the correct one. But basically now you've got 2 of these. All right. Some of you may have it. Some of you may not. But this pattern is really intended to be on the back side of this. All right. So I'm going to get rid of this guy, but you might have that. Okay. So we have the cut apart cards that we are using for January. All right. Mixture of 3x4 and 4x6 cards. And then we have these 3 papers. All right. So let's go ahead and get out our trimmer. If you are setting up your traveler's notebook the way that I do, then this is something you will want to do because we need to cut our papers because our papers are too large to work with. Karen said, I don't mind having 2 of that cute pattern. I know, right? Bonus. That was a total bonus. I will also point out if you, for example, with the papers, everything in the season pass, starting with winter, spring, is now also available a la carte right out of the gate. So if you maybe are a 12 by 12 scrapbooker and you think, oh gosh, I like to do double page spreads, you can buy more of the paper packs. You can buy more of the die cuts, the rub-ons, whatever it is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start cutting apart our papers. And I'm going to start with this one first because this is a super easy one to start with, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 3x4 cards and 2 4x6 cards, all right? So we're just going to start cutting those little guys apart. If you are here because you were curious about Season Pass and you're not using a traveler's notebook, or if you have purchased Season Pass but you have other ideas in mind and you're looking for inspiration, I encourage you to go to littlebymail.com and pull up the winter spring season pass, or really any of the products within the winter spring season pass, because there are quite a few examples or project samples already. In addition to my traveler's notebook setup, there's some wonderful cards. There's some great layout sketches. There's 3 layouts for this one coming that are actually made, and then the new design team or creative team is already at work with Season Pass. And I will tell you, this particular card, I want you to go look, and you'll see this come up in an email later, probably later next week, but one of the new design team members had punched with a circle punch all of those little numbers. And so I think she had like her resolutions, her New Year's resolutions or something with all of those numbers on that card, which I thought, when I saw her project, I'm like, where did she get those circles? And why in the heck is she using someone else's product with this? And then I read her blog post and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't have even thought about that, which makes me so excited to have a creative team because, we all do things differently and we all get inspired by different things. So I love that the team is out there working with the product so you can get, lots of different ideas on how you might do things. Bev, I love that you love that. Bev said, beautiful color palette. And Wanda said, I always associate the color blue with winter. Now, here's the thing, you guys. I live in Utah, and it is snowing. I mean, there's snow here, and it's very cold. If you live in Florida, it doesn't mean that Season Pass can't work for you. I mean, I know that you don't have snow in Florida, right? Or you guys certainly don't have snow right now in Australia this time of year, right? But this is meant more, it's just kind of, we think of January as a winter month, and you know, even if you're not using mittens, you can still embrace the mittens and hats and snowmen and things. All right, so let's go ahead and cut that guy. Get these little guys cut. All right, so those are pretty obvious, right? We're pretty obvious what we are doing with these cards, right? We're cutting them apart like we would think. Then we are moving to our 12 by 12 papers. So I'm going to take all these little cards and I'm going to set them off to the side just so I don't lose them over here, all right? It'll just make it easier for me to find those little guys. Okay, so next we have a decision. You have 3 12 by 12 papers and I am only slip covering 2 inserts, okay? So you get to decide which papers that you want to slip cover your inserts if you were doing a traveler's notebook with us. So the 2 that I used this one for one of my slip covers, and I used this one for another slip cover, all right? That means for this particular project, I am not using this paper, all right? So I'm going to set that off to the side. Now, because all the papers, of course, are double-sided, you even have a little bit of a choice from there. I am using these front-facing patterns right now, but you also have either of these on the back side, and this one is so fun. This is not fun. It's kind of like this ombre snowflake effect, right? Okay, so the main thing to remember if you are working with a traveler's notebook, we need to trim the paper because the paper is 12 by 12. Our traveler's notebook inserts, the height is 8.25, and because we're going to wrap or slip cover, we want the height of our cut to be 8.25 or 8.25 inches. So what that means is I need to trim this to 8.25. All right. Cindy, I just saw your comment. Cindy said, my goodness, Lael, I just ordered something this morning and it's already on its way. Thank you so much. I will tell you guys, Lily and Denise worked some long hours this week. They are not working Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And Lily and Denise do all of the picking of the orders and the packing and the shipping. And it was really important for them. And what I didn't tell them this, they did it. They said, we'd like to get all the orders out before we leave. So they did. Sandy, that is why your order that you placed today is shipped today. They're amazing. They're amazing. All right. So when we think about cutting, we already said we need to cut at 8.25 inches tall. But you want to be thinking about maybe the orientation of the pattern. So I'm going to start with this one first because this one, when I turn it, it really doesn't matter which direction I turn that or which direction I cut it because there really is no direction to that pattern. So in this case, I'm not worried about how I set that in my trimmer. I am just going to trim that at 8.25, right? And that is the height of my insert, all right? So that one's easy peasy. Next one, we are going to cut this guy. Now, there is a direction to this, in my opinion. It's a stripe, right? Your stripes can either be vertical or your stripes can be horizontal. I'm a little odd when it comes to stripes. I like my stripes to be horizontal because when I picture it being wrapped around my traveler's notebook for a slipcover, I like it to be horizontal. I like my stripes horizontal. If I were to do this, then my stripes are vertical, and it's just personal preference. So, but it's just something to kind of be aware of because I would like this to be, my stripes to be horizontal. I am putting it in my trimmer this way, right? So 8.25, and we can see when I trim it to 8.25 and then I rotate it, it will be wrapped with horizontal stripes. Okay, so just things to think of, orientation of your pattern. All right, the next thing I am going to do, I am going to cut a small piece of this guy. You get these over here. I'm going to cut a small piece of this guy because that is one I'm going to use here is just a little side pocket stuffer. All right, just a little side pocket stuffer. And when I do a side pocket stuffer, those are 8 inches, okay? So 8 inches. And then I really don't need all of this. I mean, I could use it, but I really don't need it to be that wide. So usually what I do is, I don't know, just maybe about 2 inches because we're only going to see a little bit of that right there. All right. So that is almost all of our cutting. We need to cut one more thing. And you guys, well, you always have a choice, but let's talk about what you may want to decide right now. when we get to this piece right here, we are stamping on that piece. And I wanted something white, right? I didn't want to use a pattern paper because it would kind of get lost if we were trying to stamp on a pattern paper. And because your kit, I don't want to assume that you have white cardstock at home, right? So that is what I am doing. I'm cutting into this backside. It's the, I'm cutting into the season pass kind of kit cover, all right? So I am going to trim this to 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. Basically, I am creating a 3x4 card, just like the rest of the 3x4 cards. All right. All right. Let's see. You guys are chatting it up in the chat, which I love. Now, if you normally are with me on Saturdays and you haven't done one of my Traveler's Notebook setup classes before, you are noticing this is very different from our Saturday. In my Saturday, it's very loose, and I am, I'm just kind of designing on the fly, and I'm not really giving instruction, right? I'm designing and I'm telling you what I'm doing, but I'm really not giving any instruction. When it comes to a class like this, I'm giving instruction. And you can follow it if you'd like, or do whatever you'd like on your own. Carol said, why does it stress me out to cut that front page from the season pass? And you know what, Carol, if you have white cardstock at home and that stresses you out, just grab a piece of white cardstock, trim it down to 3x4, and then you're good. I get it though. I totally get it, right? I have taught, I've done some really fun things with the covers of my postcards and passports kind of paper kit, and also Dear December paper kit. Because if you look at the strips like that, that is a great thing to work with, right? I mean, you could have your fun little strips there you could do something with. Most often, I cut that little rainbow stripe up at the top. So even though parts of this you probably wouldn't use, but parts of it you totally could use. Okay. All right. We have done all of our cutting that we need to do. So I am going to put the trimmer away. So we have a little bit more room to work here. How's everybody doing this evening? Are you working during this week between Christmas and New Year's if you normally work? Or you have time off? Are you looking forward to 2026? Do you wish you just had a couple more days of 2025? Hello, my Creative Roots Crafts. Lisa Lockey, curious about where you got the rack that is holding your papers. It would be so useful. This I have, there is a blog post, Lisa, on my website at laelbymail.com. If you search organization, I think. If you search organization, you will see it. It's maybe 3 or 4 pages deep in on the blog. If I remember tonight, once we're done, I will pop a link here in the description box of the video. But I show and link to lots of different storage things I use like that. All right, Ms. L's on vacation until Monday. I love that. Patty, I'm pretty certain most people have the same kind of perspectives as you do. She said, I need 2025 to go, LOL, right? Ms. L's on vacation until Monday. My Creative Roots, catching my breath and relaxing, looking forward. Hi, Flora. Thank you for putting that there. She's looking forward to the new year. Karen is supposed to be putting together updated syllabi for her spring classes, but not. He'd rather craft, right? We just need to enjoy, right? We need to enjoy. Heather said, working every day except for New Year's Day. I need a vacation. Heather, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. Laura's a civil servant. She's working. It sounds like TU has some time off. Joyce, there we go. Joyce said, sorry to see 2025 goes by so fast. Looking forward to 2026. Just relaxing with the grandkids. I love that. And someone else is snuggling with the new grandbaby. Oh, so fun. All right. Okay, and Wanda's retired, so it's every day is a holiday, right? Well, not really, but okay. So let's go ahead and start getting things set up. Oh my goodness, Lil, guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to give myself another traveler's notebook, right? Okay, hang on. Hold please. I am going to, what I was going to tell you, I was going to say, the traveler's notebook that I am using for my setup, the cover, is one of my Navy Petal Perfects, right? But this is what I forgot to bring another one of these, right? Upstairs. So I was going to show you another one that would be fun, would be that Navy Scallop. So guess what I'm going to do? I am unloading my July sample, and I am going to use the Navy scallop. So I don't have to delay us and run downstairs and go get another one. Alrighty. So we are going to start out by decorating our pockets. All right. And don't mind this. It's just got a little adhesive there that it'll be fine. Okay. So we're going to decorate our pockets. I will put a sample here and we'll start building over here. Let's start out by getting the 3x4 cards that I used. So this guy, we need that one. We need this one. We need this one. Ooh. All right, I'm going to switch something up. I used this guy, but now I've seen that somebody used this. I don't want to use this guy. And really, you can't even see. It's under there. I've used that card as a base to kind of adhere some things to, but I don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to grab one of these pieces that I have left over and cut that. And then I'll use that to, that kind of is an anchor for those little die cuts that I want to use there. So I am just going to trim this one to, let's do this over on the side, 3x4. Alrighty. Okay, so you can either use the one that I used, which where did it go? Oh, this guy. Or you can do what I did and make yourself another card to kind of anchor. And then we have this guy. So we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And it is far easier to stamp before you've loaded the pockets than after, trust me. Because sometimes, well, when I'm designing, usually I end up doing it after, and that doesn't always work out so well. So we're going to go ahead and do our stamping now. So let's see what, oh, we're going to do our stamping and also the rub-ons now, all right? We haven't really talked about the rub-ons yet. So brand new to Season Pass for 2026, rub-ons. Rub-ons were replaced. The rub-ons replaced the washi. So I did a little survey, probably in about September of this year, and to people that had purchased Season Pass, and I said, hey, what do you think? What do you like? What would you love to see changed? And one of the things I heard loud and clear was, you know what? Washi, I have plenty of washi. I don't really need washi. So let's talk about rub-ons. And we are going to apply some of our rub-ons to some of the cards. So we want to do that first. When you first open up a package of rub-ons, and I'd love it if you guys all follow along with this, because even if you've used rub-ons before, or maybe you had used rub-ons 12 years ago, and you're like, rub-ons, no way am I going to go down that rabbit hole again, because today's rub-ons are not like the olden day rub-ons, right? Not your father's Oldsmobile. These are amazing. They work like butter. So what I want to do, anytime I open up a new package of rub-ons, I do this first thing. When you open up your package of rub-ons, these are your rub-ons or your transfers. You'll notice behind them, there's a little protective sheet. That protective sheet is your friend. If that protective sheet gets separated from the rub-on sheet, guess what's going to happen? Your rub-ons are going to end up sticking to something that you don't want them to stick to. So you really want that protective sheet to stay there all the time. So I grab a little stapler and I find a place on that sheet that I can staple the rub-on sheet to the protective backer sheet. That's going to help prevent any, bad things from happening, from them getting separated. And I'm also going to do that on this sheet. So you'll notice color and black. Well, I was going to say black and white, but it's not really black and white. It's just black. All right, so I do that with both sheets. Next up, when there is a rub-on that I want to work with, me personally, I'm just sharing with you kind of what I do with rub-ons. I cut them away from the sheet. Far easier. Sometimes I see people, I don't know, they're really brave in my opinion, but they'll be like, oh, I'd really like to do this sunshine. And so they open it up and they lay it down and they try to just get the sunshine without getting anything else rubbed on, right? I'm not that talented. So as we look at what we would like to rub on to our cards, it looks like the first one that I have is right here. There's a little hello. So I am going to grab my black and white sheet and where is the hello? So, oh, it's not that hello. Where did I use the hello, friends? Because we know it came from here, right? We know it had to come from here. I didn't have something special that you didn't. Oh, there it is. Hello, winter. Duh. So I am going to, I was looking just for hello. I am going to cut this away from the sheet. Now, when I do this, I like to cut both the rub-on sheet and the backer sheet. And that's okay because not quite ready to work with it yet. So I put it right there. And this is fine. It's not going to separate because I've stapled it. All right, so now let's see. I think I am actually going to end up, I'm going to put these two in the pockets because what I've done, and then put the rub-ons on because hello is up there and then the winter is right below it. If that made me nervous, I could also come in and do this. I can separate, just cut that little part away like that, and then work with each of those independently of one another. So maybe we'll do that just to, especially if you're just kind of getting reacquainted with rub-ons again. All right, so I've got my little hello here. Next thing with rub-ons, the way that rub-ons work is through friction, right? You are applying pressure to the design. And when you do that, it is going to transfer the design from the kind of release paper onto whatever you're rubbing it on. All right, so there's something really important with that. Let me just do this so you guys can kind of still see what I'm doing here. You don't want to let go, all right? You do not want to let go. And what I mean by that is this. I'm going to set this guy. It looks like it went right about there, right? I have pulled out a little rub-on tool. This is actually an embossing tool. On my website, I call it a rub-on tool because that's what I use it for. But your rub-ons, my rub-ons, come with a popsicle stick. So you don't need to have a special tool. You could just use a popsicle stick. So when I say don't let go, I want to constantly be holding on to this, all right? Because your rub-ons, if they move, you'll end up with a little crack in the rub-on. And that's not a horrible thing, but generally, I don't want that to move. I don't want to crack. So you notice, as I start to move my finger and rotate that to get this other part, I'm constantly holding on, right? We're channeling our inner Elsa, but instead of saying let it go, we're saying don't let go, right? So that looks pretty good. I think it is all transferred. Now I am going to slowly start to remove that, that kind of transfer sheet, right? I'm going to slowly start to peel that up. I'm still holding on. And I want to hold on because if any part of that little design there, that word, did not transfer, and this one's a little hard just because it's so small, I can tell it's on, but I want to hold on and then start to peel that up because if any part of it did not transfer, then I can just lay it right back down. It hasn't moved and then rub on the part that didn't transfer and then it's good. So there we go. There's my little hello. And when we do that on the next card, you'll be able to see it a little bit better because it'll be a little bit bigger, right? So that is this guy. I am putting the word winter right in that top space, that top label. So we'll come back and do that all over again, but with winter. So what I love about rub-ons, they're very flat. They're kind of like a sticker in that they're flat. They're not going to add a lot of extra bulk. But the other nice thing about them is, unlike stickers, your stickers usually have a halo around them, right? Or your die cuts a lot of times have a halo around them. Your rub-ons do not have that. So your rub-ons look like you actually either printed the word or phrase or image on there, or that it already came printed on the card, right? So you can kind of customize some things with rub-ons that you can't necessarily do or can't necessarily do as easily with maybe stickers or die cuts. So I just rotated that. You see I'm just using my same little tool here. Now with the black rub-ons, it's usually pretty easy to see when they have released because they kind of get cloudy. Or your transfer sheet gets a little cloudy because it's no longer, the black's no longer, kind of attached to the transfer sheet. It is, it's already transferred. So I think it looks good, but again, I don't just want to peel that transfer sheet up because if there were parts of that rub-on that did not transfer. I don't want to then try to replace it and get it, in the exact same spot. So I'm going to start to lift, lift, lift. And does that look good? Does it look good? Everything looks good, right? Sometimes I'll just put that back down, rub over the top of that, just to make sure it is nice and, nice and there. Sometimes I'll do that with my finger. Yes, sweetie?
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. All right, looks like dinner's over for Sam. Thank you. Love you, bye. We'll see you tomorrow night. Okay, ouch. Squeeze it. Ow. 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 Oh my gosh, he's a very strong kid. He's 6 feet tall and he's very strong and he just about squeezes the stuffing out of me.
6'1".
So you are not 6'1". You go tell Dad and Dad will laugh in your face.
Mom?
Yes. Sam, I'm working, sweetie.
Last time I went to the doctor, without my shoes on, they told me I was 6'1".
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you guys know. You know, right? Okay, so what else do we have on here? In the pink, I did the bring on the new word. And over here, I did the little cluster of snowflakes. So we'll come in here, remove these guys. Now, this is taking a lot longer than it normally would if I was doing this on my own, right? I did them really fast because I'm not trying to talk and teach when normally I'm doing it. So if you're like, oh my gosh, rub-ons are cool, but holy cow, they take a long time. They really don't. I'm really kind of belaboring, some of the tips that work really well for me so that you're not afraid of rub-ons. All right, so bring on the new. That is going to go right into there. Because, with the new year, we're bringing on the new. And we'll do the same thing. Just kind of use your popsicle stick, or I think someone said they have an awl that they use. Whatever tool that you have, popsicle stick should always be in your little bag, in your little rub-on, so that makes it easy. All right, so let's see how that looks. Grab my tweezers here and lift. Can't see it very well. There, oh, come on, there we go. All right, so looks good. All right. And then we've got our little cluster of snowflakes, and they are going in that little green one. So we'll just kind of do that. And they are all together, right? I didn't separate those individually. That would be, I could have, but that'd be kind of silly if I'm going to use them in a cluster. But those are intended to be used in a cluster, but you know what? You could use them individually if you wanted to use them in different places. So don't be afraid to cut apart. Like we cut apart the hello in the winter. Right? Those were meant to be used together. We're still using them together. We just needed to, be able to add them to two different cards. So if you see a word that you want to use in a rub-on and you don't like what it's paired with, just cut it apart. All right, so there we go. That's going to be our next one. Then we have here, we have a little fresh start right there between those mittens. So fresh start is right here. I love the artwork on these rub-ons. I think they turned out really, really nice. Really, really nice. All right. Diane, I love that you love that. Diane said, I am absolutely loving that you are bringing rub-ons into your storefront. Thank you. All year, rub-ons will be part of Season Pass. So winter, spring, spring, summer, summer, fall, fall, holiday. And every 3 months, we are also releasing every 3 months, I think every quarter, not part of Season Pass, different themed rub-on sets. So the first one coming out in mid-January, January 14th, which I think you will like very much. All right, so that we're just going to go there, and the same thing. This would be my suggestion if you were like, oh my gosh, rub-ons, this makes me really nervous. My suggestion would be to take a rub-on that is maybe not amongst your most favorite. I don't want to say your least favorite, but if you look at the sheet and you're like, you know what? I would never use this one that says S Spring. I would cut that out and I would play with that. I would, get comfortable with using rub-ons on just a piece of scratch paper, maybe something that you didn't really care if it kind of got messed up, right? That would be my advice. All right, so let's pull this little guy up. Fresh start. And if for some reason, if I had pulled that up, I'm still holding on, but part of that didn't transfer, I would just lay it right back down. It hasn't moved. And then I can kind of, rub again and then make sure we're good. All right. So that is it for rub-ons. So now we're going to start loading up our pockets. Now, when we first load our pockets, we are not worried about any adhesive, and you'll see why. we are just going to start placing. I had a little bit, I didn't quite cut that evenly. You'll notice on all of my cards, and if you're new to me, just know I do this on pretty much everything. All of my cards I have outlined with my Sharpie pen. So you see on the left, I have it outlined. On the right, I have outlined. And that is something I've been done for like 20 years. So if you want to outline with me, you can. You don't have to. Oh, that one needs to go. I just use a little Sharpie like that. I use those. I have those on my website. When it comes to outlining, the trick for me is the faster you go, the easier it is. Okay. You'll notice I am keeping my arm is rested here on my work surface, and I'm going in short, I'm going kind of short lines, right? But I'm doing one continuous line and I go quickly. The slower I go, the more jaggedy it always gets, right? So, and you know what? It's meant to look hand-drawn. You could certainly, that makes you nervous, use a ruler if you wanted. All right, so this guy's going to go right there. Now, there is a little card behind it. That one is, oh, it's not really a card. It's just a little piece. So I am going to grab a little piece from, what was that from, Lil? Oh, I know. It is from here. So I did not use this card. If you're thinking you are going to use this card, then you could take either, if you had a little bit of that second sheet. This was, if you got this second sheet, that is the wrong pattern on here. That's why you received 2 sheets. You could take a little piece of that if you want, but really all I want is just a little bit of color, a pop of color to just kind of pop right back there. So that's what I'm doing there. And then we are adding this card, and I'm just stuffing the pockets. Now, if you use my traveler's notebooks, and my traveler's notebooks are always the ones that I'm using when I'm doing my setup, then you have the same pocket configuration I do. If you're using a different traveler's notebook cover, that's totally okay. Doesn't matter, but your pocket configuration may be a little bit different than mine, so you may need to just kind of work some things around a little bit differently if you have a different pocket configuration. All right, so that is going to go there. And then this little guy, oops, forgot, oh my gosh, Lil. Usually what happens, if I had loaded that and I had forgotten to outline it, and I wasn't in front of you guys, I would have outlined it while it was in the pocket, which I don't necessarily recommend. Yes, scrappy thread nails are gone. Red nails are gone. Red nails come out once a year for 3 weeks, and it's Christmas time. And it's gel manicure, so I went and saw my nail lady today, and off, the red gel comes off, and then we're back to this one. And she and I were talking today. 10 years. This has been my color 10 years. Long time. Long time. All right, so there we go. Now we needed our little, let's see, where was my little card that even though I've got my little things over here trying to be all organized, right? So where did my little card go? Oh, here it is. All right. This was the card or the piece that I cut to replace this guy, because now I want to do, I think it was Janelle Cruz that did something really cool with that from the creative team. So I'm replacing that one with this one, because really you can't even really see what's there. All those little die cuts are just kind of adhered to that, so you don't even really see it. All right, so that guy goes in next. And all we're doing is stuffing cards right now. So usually what I do is I start out by stuffing cards. If I was doing any stamping on these cards, I would have stamped them before I put them in. Now we're going to get to this part. So here, and I just got to have a little bit of adhesive from when I just pulled that off. This part is prime real estate, right? I want to decorate that, but you know what? I certainly don't want to stamp on that. And really, I don't want to start gluing all of my things on that, because it's just going to add a lot of extra residue that I have to get off later. So what we're doing is we're going to create a little base that we can stamp on and adhere our things to. When we do this, that's the 3x4 piece that I cut from the cover of the season pass cover sheet. So if you wanted to do this with white cardstock, you certainly could. But what's happening over here you'll see that part of it sits on top of the pocket. Part of it actually tucks into the pocket right there. So you can't see that, but it just kind of creates a little flap. It just tucks under, and then we add a little bit of adhesive right there. So that's what we're going to do. The height of this, I would like that to be about 2 3/4 inches tall. So all I'm going to do here is measure 2 3/4 inches tall. Get my little pencil out here. And this is where I'm going to fold it. So that piece can tuck into the pocket and this piece sits on top of the pocket, right? So just like that, all right? So what I'm going to do though, I don't want to tuck this in yet, and I'm actually going to come back and open that up. I don't want to go beyond this line where my little mark is, because that will be covered up when it tucks in. But I'd like to do a little bit of stamping. And so that's going to take us to the stamp that's included in the Season Pass kit. This, as with everything in Season Pass, is part of the kit, but you can also buy it a la carte. So if you're like, 12 by 12 papers really aren't my thing, but I love to stamp, then you might be like, I just might get this, by itself. So for the stamping we're going to use here, we're going to use that one cluster, one stamp of 3 snowflakes, all right? So that is just one single stamp. And I am going to get out my stamping block. I am getting out a small stamping block. When it comes to stamping, and if you have not joined me on a Saturday when we do a lot of stamping, one of the things that has really helped me in my stamping, I've been stamping, I tried to stamp probably 10 years ago. I had no clue what I was doing and I got frustrated and I stopped. But really been stamping for about 6 years, and really seriously about 5 years. One of the things that I figured out works really well for me is if I can right size my stamping block to my stamp, it makes it a lot easier to handle. So what I mean by that, you can see that stamp is roughly same size or similar to my stamping block. As opposed to something like this. If I only have one stamping block in my arsenal of tools, I have to have the lowest common denominator, right? If my biggest stamp is that size, then that means I have to have a stamping block that's that big. And you can certainly use a giant stamping block for your little stamp. It's just a little bit harder to work with. So that's one of the things I recommend if you are just getting into stamping. Start collecting, start purchasing different size stamping blocks. It will make such a big difference in your stamping. Okay, so anytime I launch a new Season Pass, I match the Distress ink oxide colors, or Distress ink, whichever one you use. And so for the Winter Spring Season Pass, I have matched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Distress ink colors. Kitsch Flamingo, Candied Apple, Fossilized Amber, Mowed Lawn, Speckled Egg, Prize Ribbon. So I have used those colors across the Winter Spring Season Pass. Now, I didn't use Fossilized Amber or Candied Apple or Mowed Lawn for the month of January, but I have used all those colors across the 3 months. So for this month, I pulled Kitsch Flamingo, Speckled Egg, and Prize Ribbon. So when you look at that, I mean, that is pretty good representation of the colors in January. So all I did here, I just took that stamp and used those 3 different colors and just kind of made a fun little snowflake background. So I am going to, and it doesn't really matter where you start. And if you only used one color for this, you could just do one color. If you want to use black because that's all you have, I think that would still look very nice as well, especially since we pulled some black in with the rub-on. So don't get too caught up in having all of the colors of ink. Or maybe I use Distress Oxides and you use Stampin' Up! Inks or something like that. Use what you have, use what you'd like to work with. So I have just pulled out a piece of scratch paper, right? And I am going to have that scratch paper here as I'm working, because in some cases, I might want that to bleed off the edge, right? So I'm just going to kind of come in here and do a couple of colors. So I've done a couple of stamps with Speckled Egg, and then I'm going to clean that off. And this is an important part of the process. If you are stamping multiple colors with the same stamp, you want to clean it off. because if you don't clean it off, then your speckled egg is going to blend with your Kitsch Flamingo and give you something that you probably weren't expecting. All right, so we want to clean that up, and then we want to fully dry that. This is a really important part of the process as well. If I am going to immediately move from one color to the next, cleaning in between, I want to dry that. Your distress oxides, your pigment-based inks are water reactive. So if there's any moisture on your stamp, then that water, the moisture is going to react with the pigment in the ink. And sometimes it does funny things, especially if you're not expecting it. Now, there's some really cool things you can do that with that. I don't do things like that. It's more mixed media, and that's not really my bag. But the fact that it is water reactive, you can do some cool things. But primarily, kind of the whole reason behind that is you definitely want to dry in between your colors. Clean and then dry. All right, so then we'll just kind of come here and do that guy. And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of making it a point to rotate that stamp. Because if I am using it in the same orientation, the same direction every time, I mean, we want this to look kind of whimsical and artsy. And if we're doing kind of the same direction every time, it kind of starts to look a little, I don't know, maybe a little bit too straight, maybe. All right, so we do that. Looks like we've got another one, maybe right in here somewhere. And you'll notice I have not stamped. I didn't stamp kind of towards the bottom. If you wanted to, because you're not quite sure where those pieces will go yet, you could, but we're on our way, right? We're well on our way. Maybe we'll just come down here and do that a little bit. All right, so that one is good. Now, I do end up doing more stamping than just this little part, and it is something I always talk about at the end. Your calendar insert is, whoopsie, what am I doing? Is not part of the season pass kit. It's something that I always, you can purchase it separately, but I do a lot of stamping in that, and I'll show you kind of that as we kind of near the end of class tonight. Prize ribbon is a beauty. I love it. It's such a pretty color. I put one of those there, and we're just kind of filling in a little bit, right? Ooh, now, let's see. We'll do something down here, even though we're really probably not going to see much down here. I have a big gaping spot there. Now, we can see that the tree is going to fill part of that in, but now I'm going to have that. So really quickly, I am just going to come back in and clean off prize ribbon, and I will add speckled egg and then fill in that little hole right there. And then we should be good to go. Patty said right sizing really makes a difference in your stamping. Right sizing your stamping block, right? Don't take my word for it. You guys take each other's word for it. All right, there we go. I think that'll be good. So let's get our inks out of the way for now. I will come back to those. And all right, I'm going to move this back onto its sheet right now because I don't want to lose that. Now, obviously, you can use your stamps for anything, right? Which I think is kind of fun because by the time the year is over, if you do season pass or if you do just the stamps, you will end up with your stamp sets with your little icons like that for every month, with your monthly definitions for every month. Lots of fun things you can do with that. Okay, so let's outline this guy now. And we will tuck it in to its little pocket and then set the stamp size on stamped part or stamp side on top. So right like that. Now, I already had a little bit of adhesive there, right, from my last setup. So you don't need a lot of adhesive, right? I've just used a little bit of my tape runner and I, just press down on that and that will be good. We have not adhered anything else yet, right? So now we're going to come back up to the top and we will start adding our die cuts. So starting out with this cute little sledding raccoon. Like, what is that? A sledding raccoon. When I work in a traveler's notebook, I don't use any kind of dimensional adhesive, any kind of dimension really. Everything I use is flat, with the exception of decorating this. with the exception of decorating the pockets. I like to add a little bit of dimension. So that's where I'm going to bring in some pop dots or little foam squares. So it looks like, I think I just kind of put it behind this little guy's head and behind his body. Kind of like that, all right? And he will go right there. So basically now we're coming in and we're just starting to fill in some of the space. Next up, we have Winter Memories. Winter Memories, I also pop dotted. So we will, they're foam squares, but I call them pop dots. I don't know, I've been paper crafting, scrapbooking, memory keeping, planning, all the things. Traveler's notebooking for about 28 years. No, 29, almost 29 years, because I started when I was pregnant with our oldest son who just turned 28. Anyhow, back in the day, they were pop dots. You call them pop dots because they were actually like circles on a sheet. Okay, so now we've got quite a few things going here. So let's find those guys. You have a number of different snowflakes. That is the one I use. So as we look at the snowflake die cuts, oopsie, move a little heart. I used this guy. Doesn't matter which one you use. Snowflake is a snowflake, right? But I use that guy. So that guy is going to just kind of sit right there, and he's going to go down flat because some of these things are going to go down popped, but other things will go down flat. All right, next up, we have 2026. So where did that, oh, here it is. I just lost, something flew over here. Oh, here it is. Okay, little 2026. That guy is going to go over here. So you can see if something gets layered on top of it, I need to put it down first, right? So our little snowman is getting layered on top of that. So we need to grab, put 2026 down first. Then we have our snowman. And snowman looks like I just kind of put a pop dot right behind his head. So I don't pop everything. But I am also going to add a little pop dot kind of close to the edge of the squirrel's tail because he is, I can see he's trying to lift up on me there. So we kind of do this guy here like that. Sometimes this is why I don't put any adhesive in yet, because when you see, I needed to move that card up a little bit taller. Oh, my little hello is missing now. Sometimes you need to, as you start putting these pieces in, you may need to move things a little bit so you're not cutting off part of, you know, something else that you've done, like our fresh start. Move this guy down a little tad. And if I have not adhered any of the cards yet, it gives me kind of some wiggle room, right? All right, next up, we have Hello 2026, that cute little banner. Oh, it is pop dotted also. So we don't even need adhesive. We'll just pop dot that guy and put this one right there. And then next up, we have the snow covered tree. And then we also have this little thing, cold noses, pink cheeks, hot cocoa, snow day burger. Tree is flat. Put that right there. And then this guy gets pop dotted. So if you have foam tape, if it's a little bit of a, you know, larger die cut and you wanted to use larger foam squares, or if you wanted to use foam tape or something like that, you certainly could. But I just grabbed my little small guys. So where did that go? So some things flat, some things popped, but your little guys like this are just going to help give a little bit of added extra dimension. And that goes right there. All right, so our pockets are now decorated. Next up, we have that side pocket, that little side stuffer, which is that little piece that we just cut. It was what we had left over. We're not cutting into this, remember? We still have these guys, right? Those are our slip covers. This is what we cut from a leftover piece. And so I am going to do my little outlining. This was 8 inches. We cut it to 8 inches, and then it's about 2 inches wide, but most of that you're not going to see. Now on this one, I do want to just add a little tiny bit of adhesive at the top and bottom, so that will keep that nice and secure in that little spot, like that. All right, now I have lost my little piece that was in both of those. right? Remember how we had found a little piece that we were going to stick in there? Oh well, it's fine. We don't need it. Okay, so next up, let's talk about now all of these pieces. Now, we have not used adhesive for anything, right? We have not adhered any of those cards. The only thing that we did was folded this guy over and then add a little tiny bit of adhesive there. But when I start pulling these things, depending how I have kind of where I've added my adhesive, these things are kind of all connected together. So what I could do is I just add a little tiny bit of adhesive in the corner of that one. That is now connecting that piece to that piece. This guy, these two are connected because we have a foam square above our little raccoon's head. So those are connected. Those three are now connected together. And this one's even connected because of our little pop dot behind the snowman's head. So really everything there is connected. That's what it made it so easy, kind of going back to this setup, all of those pieces were connected. So it made it really easy for me to pull those out as very carefully, but pull them out as one piece and then be able to use it in my list and for one of my lists in my traveler's notebook, right? All right. Okay, so now we're ready for our slipcovers. So I am going to start out by slip covering this guy. And remember, this is not part of your kit. This is something that I use, right? So this is one of my calendar inserts, monthly calendar inserts. So if you want to, get one of those or add it to cart or, next time you shop or whatever it is. But I use this calendar insert the entire month of the year. Now I'm going to go to something I haven't decorated yet, July. So as you look at that, every month has the same format. You have the large month there. You have a couple of sections here. This month, birthdays, notes, and ideas. And then you have your calendar, Sunday through Saturday, and that is undated. This insert is undated, meaning you could use it for any year. You could start it whenever you wanted, right? Maybe you start it in July of 2026. You would go July of 2026, and then the front half, you would continue on in 2027. That design style that you see right there may look familiar to some of you because it's the same from that, right? The month by month stamps. And guess what else I just had sitting there? This is a little sneak peek. You will see this as part of the January release. You know what that is. Now, days of the week, right? And I bet you could guess, just like there are 12 months, there are 7 days of the week. But anyhow, that kind of design style carries through a lot of different Lail by Mail products for the year. So I am going to start out by slip covering this guy first. If you purchase the season pass kit, you have 2 lined inserts. So grab one of those inserts and we'll slip cover. So this is the pattern that I would like to be front facing on my first insert. The first thing that I do is, I know days of the week, isn't that fun? Carrie, what made me decide on a Sunday start? I think it's probably because most of my calendars that I use are Sunday starts. I think, pretty sure, let me look at this one, wherever it is. Where'd the Carpe Diem one go? Incidentally, the reason why I started making my own inserts, calendar inserts, is because I bought out all of them that Carpe Diem had. They don't make them anymore. So they started on a Sunday, and I've used these for years, so that's probably why I started on a Sunday, because I was used to that format. I know, there's kind of it's a tomato, whether you're a Sunday start or a Monday start, right? All right, so this is our slip cover. This is the front. This is the forward-facing pattern. One of the things I recommend that you do when you're folding paper, whether you are folding for a traveler's notebook cover, whether you're folding to make a card, whatever reason you're folding paper, I recommend that you always fold the outside facing in, okay? This is the outside. I am going to fold the outside facing in. And you could fold or you could score, whatever you'd like to do. But I want you to do it outside facing in. The reason for that is if there is ever going to be any kind of fiber breakage. So a lot of times when you fold something, the fibers of the paper will start to break. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of what happens when you fold paper. But depending on the color, right? In this case, this is pretty dark. And so if I'm folding, wherever I'm folding, if there's going to be breakage in the fibers, we're going to see it on the fold. So if I fold with the outside facing in, that means my fiber breakage is really happening on the inside when I come back and fold it the other way. All right, like that. So that is the start of my slipcover. We're just folded in half, super basic. Now I want to open it back up, right? So outside facing pattern is now facing down. This is the inside. I'm going to take one of my inserts. Again, I'm using my monthly calendar insert. So I'm going to take that. There is the spine of my insert. I'm going to lay the spine in the center of the fold, and I'm going to close it, and I am going to rotate it. You'll notice we only trimmed the height. We did not trim the width. We left the width to 12 for this reason. We need something for our slipcover to tuck under, right? Because if we didn't do that, we'd have to glue it. And then if we glued it, February's going to roll around and it's still winter. And then March is going to roll around. And next thing you know, it's going to be June and it's still winter because we glued that to the cover, right? So we're doing our slipcover. So as I folded it, this is my spine. This is the opening. I always double check. There's my opening. There's my spine because I want to make sure it's not upside down, right? I'm going to close that again, and I am going to use the edge of my pinky, and I am going to run that right along the edge of that insert. That is exactly where that fold needs to be. Trust me, I've been doing this 10 years every month. 10 years. No, I think it's 8 years where I've been doing the bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook. So that's the easiest, most accurate way to do it, right? We're just right there. And then I am lifting that up, lifting my insert cover up and tucking that right in, right? Nice straight edge, exactly where it needs to be. Flip it over. This is now the back side, right? Kind of want to just kind of make sure it's all nice and snug when I get that going. Hang on. Nice and snug like that. I'll do the same thing. My pinky, run that along the edge of that paper where I can feel the edge of that insert is. That. Lift that up. That's the back cover. Lift that up and tuck under. There's my slip cover. Now, one of the things I suggested that you might have with you was washi tape. In the past, I had included washi tape in the kits. I'm no longer including washi tape. You guys told me you've got plenty of washi. Let's have something else more fun. So I've just pulled some washi from my stash. This is not meant to be decorative. This is meant to be functional. What I mean by that is I would like to put some washi there so it holds that slipcover in place for the month until I am ready to uncover and then slipcover again for the next month. Now here's a little tip. If you are never planning on taking your inserts out of your Traveler's Notebooks, right? Eventually we'll put our little elastics in there. If we're never going to take that out, you really don't need to do this part because that's not going to go anywhere. That elastic is going to keep it in place. But if you're maybe, taking your insert out and throwing it in your purse or your, I don't know, whatever you're throwing it in, then you might want to just, add a little bit of washi so it stays on there. All right. So we'll do a little bit more washi here. And you notice I just use a little bit. Again, it's meant to be functional. So you don't necessarily need to use, hold on, I'll just show you what I did. I wanted that to be close. You don't necessarily need to use a full strip of the washi. All right, so now it's slip covered. But there's one more thing. We're not quite done yet. There's one more thing I recommend that you do. And that is that you, hang on, I stepped away for a second while I grab a corner rounder. Is that you round the outside corners. So outside. I don't mean these. I mean these the right top and bottom. The reason for that is your inserts are, the corners of your inserts are rounded, right? So your lined inserts, rounded corners, and that calendar insert rounded corner. If you do not round the corners, there's nothing to support underneath there, right? It's just that cover. There's nothing to support that corner. So over time, it's possible that your corner may bend because there's nothing to support it. All right, so I am just coming in and doing the front and back corners. Okay, there we go. Cute, right? Way cute. I mean, all right, let's be honest. That insert was pretty cute. My calendar insert was pretty cute, but something like this, the lined inserts, Totally boring. And they're boring for a reason. So that you can take your paper and slip cover, and then, you've got whatever pattern you want, because I could never guess the pattern that you would want, right? Okay. You'll notice I just opened that up again because, remember, I outline everything. I outlined even the slip covers. Let's see. Carol, we will talk in a minute on some ideas if you're using the calendar, the in-between pages, all right? Okay, so now I have opened that up. So there's 2 ways I can do my outlining here, all right? 2 ways. I can have it closed and do my outlining, or I can open it. And generally, I only do the front. I don't do the back. The benefit of opening that to outlining is that when you get to this edge right here, that edge is kind of bulky when it is closed. And this is a trust me. When it is closed like this and you're trying to outline, 9 times out of 10, if I think I'm getting smart and I'm like, I've been doing this for years, I don't need to open that up. Guess what happens? Right off the edge. And you know what? If you go off the edge, it's art. Just embrace it. But it is a little bit easier if you open that up to kind of keep your straight-ish line. Okay? So there's our first one. Now, let's see what we're going to do to decorate this guy. So I have pulled out one of our cards, and that is our cute little snowman card here. And I also pulled out this little tab. Now, your tab does not say New Beginnings. So it is just a light blue tab. So do not be searching forever for a New Beginnings tab, or you will be looking for a long time. This is the tab that we're looking for, just that little light blue. And there is one of those for each month, different color. So what we need to do, let's start out by, try to keep this handy, start out by outlining our card. The other thing that I find, especially if I'm putting pattern on pattern like this, a little pattern on top of a pattern, that outline generally helps to kind of make it pop a little bit, all right? So there's some stamping I've done here. So we want to do our stamping before we adhere. There's a little cluster of snowflakes here, and then you have your cute little January definition. So let's grab our snowflakes. Again, our snowflake stamp. And for both of these, I have used prize ribbon. Nancy, hi Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. I love that. Nancy said, words can't describe how happy I am that I found Lail by Mail. I'm so excited to start playing as soon as I get my order. 2026 is going to be fantastic. Thank you, Nancy. That's so nice of you to say. You just kind of gave me a little glimmer there. Just a nice, sweet little glimmer to end my day. All right. And I'm glad you found me too. Wonderful to have you part of the community. Okay, so stamping, and this little guy is just kind of going to go right up there in the corner. So it helps to kind of fill in that blank space, but then it also helps to kind of carry us from this light blue into the blue of the background. All right, so that guy's done. Not using this guy again for a bit. When I get to the monthly calendar, I'll kind of show you what I did. The January word stamp. I'm with you, Carol. I am with you. So you'll notice that, and you probably guessed now what's coming for the rest of the year, but the stamp set, and I will tell you guys, I had to reorder the stamps again because for my initial order because they sold out. So, I mean, they're in stock again, but I had to reorder the stamps, which always tells me we're on the right track. But with the winter spring stamp set, you have January definition, February, and March. And throughout the rest of the year, each quarter will have that month's definition. So it kind of makes it fun. And I think you'll find too, everything on the stamp set is super generic, right? It works really well with Season Pass, but even if you weren't using Season Pass, that stamp set would work for lots of different things, which is the idea, right? Because if we're spending our hard-earned money on product, we would like to be able to maybe use some of the things again, right? That they didn't just apply to what we're doing here. That's my thought. I'm just like you guys, right? I'm a consumer. I buy lots of things. Trust me. Ask Nick. I buy lots of things. I buy lots of craft things. You know, we like to have fun. There could be worse vices. But when I'm shopping, I like to look for things that I might be able to use in other projects, right? All right, so there is January. Now, I have not yet been really test stamping first. If you are new to stamping, even if you're not new to stamping, I wasn't really worried about messing up snowflakes, because they're snowflakes. But if you are new to stamping, in addition to right sizing your stamping block to your stamp, I always recommend that you test stamp first. That is a super important part of being a successful stamper, in my opinion. Test stamp. Does that look good? It looks great. Now, when I'm test stamping, there's a couple things I'm figuring out. Number one, does the color ink I picked work with whatever I'm using it with? And we already know it does, right? So that's good. Is my stamp dirty? Is it blurry in some spots? Is there some spots where I can't even see any ink because maybe the cat's hair is on there or there's some lint or dust? But the other thing I am really trying to get familiar with is how much pressure do I need to apply? And I am going to way over exaggerate this to show you. What I find, I see a lot of people have blurry stamped images. And what that tells me is you're applying more pressure than you really need to. So if I really press down hard, I see people go, ugh, like Incredible Hulk, press down really hard. And this one actually isn't too bad. But do you see the difference where I press down really hard? Some of my letters start to get really blurry. That's because I've applied too much pressure. When you apply too much pressure, it flattens out the stamp, right? So it's making the surface area of the stamped impression really like flatten out. That's why you get lots of blur. But that, I didn't press hard at all. And you could literally spend a minute, ink up your stamp, test it, be like, okay, does that feel good? I applied a little bit of pressure. That feels great. Oh, look. It's not I didn't apply enough pressure there, or maybe I didn't get enough ink there. So then I'm like, okay, let's try that again. There we go. Looks pretty good. So testing like that gives me a lot more confidence as opposed to just inking up and just going for it, right? And if that's your personality, there's nothing wrong with that, Live on the edge, ink it up and hope it works. But I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to things like that, and I would much rather spend 1 extra minute testing first to make sure that, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, right? Nice even pressure. It's just so cute, isn't it? Right? And you guys, that stamp you'll be able to use for so many different things. I mean, that stamp is never going away. As long as we have months in the year, that stamp is a great useful. And if you're reading them, you might notice January, the cozy month of the year where the world takes a sparkling snowy break. And they all are kind of fun like that. Okay, so now we are ready to adhere this to our slipcover. But before we do that, we still have our little tab there. So let's go ahead and get our adhesive on our little tab. And we're going about right here. When I am adhering something to my slipcover, I generally think of if I'm hanging a photo or hanging a painting or something in my house, generally you are hanging it the upper third of your wall, right? You're not putting it in the center. And this is just me. You do whatever you want. But this is why I usually go high. Because I am hanging it, right? About the upper third of my wall. I don't ever put it down here because that would be like putting the photo of your grandkids, the lower third of your wall. So I go top third, you go wherever you want. And then we're putting a little word sticker there, word strips. We haven't used those yet. Word strip sticker that says new beginnings. This is also new for 2026 in season pass. Instead of all the word strip stickers being white, it's flooded with different colors from the collection, right? So your white, lots of generic things. So you've got Hello 2026, Pop Fizz Clink, Happy Valentine's Day, What Matters Most. So these can kind of work all throughout. And then your blue is kind of winter, January. Your pink is kind of February, and your greenish is kind of March. But you'll still see things that work all around. Here's the story, here for it. Oh, happy day, for the record, collection of moments. So if you don't know me, well, you're starting to getting to know me really well tonight. But if you don't know me, you know now that word strip stickers are one of my favorite things. You will always see me do word strip stickers in my collections because in my opinion, if it looks like something is missing, the answer is a word strip sticker. There we go. All right, so that is our first slip-covered insert. I am going to leave this one out because I'm going to come back when we're done and get into the calendar insert. All right, so I'm going to put that off to the side. And now we will work on our second slipcover, okay? So again, outside, we want to fold with the outside pattern facing in. Here's the outside. I want to fold that so it's facing in. We've had some latecomers. Hello, ladies. Let's see. Hi, Brenda. Carrie likes the stamps, the month stamps. I love that she loves those. Louisa, let's see. Sarah, I love that. Thank you. Sarah said, Lael, this is such an amazing leap from last year's set. Just so colorful and happy. The stamps are amazing and the rub-ons are fantastic. Yeah, you know what, you guys? When I first launched Season Pass in December of 2024, a year ago, that was the first paper I'd ever done. Excuse me, first paper, first stickers, first die cuts. I mean, it was a leap. And there's so much that we learned in the last year. But I agree with you. I think I think Season Pass is a whole new ball game. And I love that you're loving the way it looks and the changes and love it. Okay, so we did our fold in half. I am going to take my, oh my gosh, I got totally confused. Yeah, okay. I need my lined insert. Here we go. My lined insert, we're doing exactly what we did before, opening up the center, putting our spine in the center of our fold and closing it, rotating, using our pinky, making sure that's flat, and then just going kind of right there, using our pinky against that edge. That's the natural crease. That's exactly where it needs to go. We are lifting that up. We are lifting that up, and that tucks under. Now, one of the things about my lined inserts, and that is not a lined insert. So let me just grab a lined insert so I can show you this. When you are working with a calendar insert, we knew which was upside down or which was, forwards or backwards, because we could easily see, and that's an important, you want to make sure you don't, do it upside down. But with your lined insert, my lined inserts are specifically designed with no top or bottom. All right. Your lines go up, your lines go down. So that with your lined insert, you really don't have to worry about getting something in upside down, at least for the first time. Now, when you get to February and you are, taking your lined insert, whatever you've been using it for, and you're taking off January slipcover and adding February, then there will be an upside down because you've written. But to start, you don't have to really worry. Okay, so there's that. We're going to turn that over, flatten it out, and do the exact same thing. And trust me, this is so much easier and so much faster and so much more exact when you're creating a slipcover as opposed to trying to measure or score or something like that. It just makes it so easy. Hi, Sheila. Sheila said, can't wait for my season pass to arrive. I will tell you guys, you've blown me out of the water. When I looked at the numbers today, I want to say we're 80% sold out of the season pass, 80%. So we don't have a lot left. Now, I will also tell you that like I said, I already ordered more stamps. Other product is already on the way and in the process of being manufactured because it is far too early to be selling out. It's not sold out yet, but we're getting really close because we haven't even started the new year yet. And this is supposed to last January, February, March. So that's a good problem to have. That's a problem I like to have. All right. Now, anyhow, that doesn't matter. I'm just thinking out loud, but it's all good. All right. So it's such a, when you're trying to predict demand, it's difficult because you don't want to be stuck with, you don't want to, June to hit and you've still got a whole bunch of, January, February, March left. Oh, why did I do that? I didn't mean to do that. So predicting demand is a little bit difficult. And, I have been doing season pass for a year, so I feel like I've got a pretty good idea. However, we've made all these changes. So yeah, I grossly underestimated, but that's good. That's good. All right. So I did not do the washi here just for, sake of time, but you could add your washi. The cute holders that are holding the die cuts. This is dollar store. Amy turned me on to these. This is dollar store. And I will tell you, if you are doing year in review with me, this is a great way for all 12 months. So Lily and Denise grabbed these for me. They went to 3 different dollar stores to find them. So if you can find them at a dollar store, great. I will also kind of look around, maybe poke around on Amazon and see if I can find something like that similar. And I'll pop it in the description box of the video, either tonight or tomorrow. All right, so our next slipcover. Now I did a little something a little bit different here. One of the questions I get is, Lael, so you have these 4x6 cards. And the 4x6 cards, you say, I understand that you have 4x6 cards because some people may use these for 12x12 scrapbook layouts. Some people want to put these in pocket pages. So you need a 4x6 card. But Lael, I don't. I use it for a traveler's notebook. So can you give me some ideas on what to do with a 4x6 card? So what I did with this one, I folded this guy in half. Okay, I didn't cut it, and you could if you wanted, but I folded this guy in half. I adhered this part here and decorated it so that this guy opens. And if I wanted to put, don't pay attention to what happened right here. It should not have had a little, shouldn't have had a foam dot right there. So it just kind of peeled the paper. But this opens. So if I wanted to put something inside, if I wanted to put little photos here or something, or, you know, do a little quote or something, I could. So we kind of just did a really cute little interactive thing with that little 6x8. All right, so this I have outlined again because if it's not outlined, it looks like it's naked. Naked. I don't say naked. I say naked. It looks like it's naked to me. So I've got to do the outlining. Okay. That also, because we have horizontal lines here and horizontal lines here, it kind of breaks, you know, horizontal lines by having that outline. Before I adhere this, there is a little rub on there. See how it says hello 2026? There's a little rub on. So let's grab our rub on sheet again. And we are, hello 2026 is right there. So I'm going to come over here. And at some point, this is going to look like a piece of Swiss cheese, right? Because you're going to have had a whole bunch of little things cut out. And if that happens, or when that happens, sometimes I will cut this off and it's stapled, then I put a staple somewhere else, and I just kind of continue to whittle it down a little bit, all right? All right. Salt cellar, yeah, it's on my Amazon. It is on my Amazon storefront. So I will also include a link to that. So this is what I haven't even talked about this, but you've seen me use this. I use a stamp chamois to clean my stamps after I've used them. And if you put it in a container, it doesn't have to be a salt cellar. It could be a baggie. Some people use a Ziploc bag or maybe use a Tupperware or something like that. But you want to keep, while you're working, you want to keep that little guy moist because if it's open to the air, it'll dry out, right? So you want to either in a baggie or in a salt cellar like that. Salt cellar, if you don't live in a humid part of a country, not necessarily a country, but if you put salt in there, that will keep it dry. In this case, it's keeping our thing moist. You don't want your salt to get all clumpy. One really important public service announcement about this. If you have ever put your clothes in the washer at night with every intent of moving them from the washer to the dryer before you go to bed and you forgot and you wake up in the morning and you go, oh shoot, I left my clothes in the washer overnight, and you open the washer and you go, oh, and then you put more soap in and rewash, right? Same thing here. While you're using it, you want to keep it covered. But when you're done using it for the night or day, open it up, because if you don't open it up, it won't dry. It'll stay moist in there, but it's going to be like the clothes that you forgot in the washer, all right? And I forget that all the time. I forget it all the time. Okay, so here we go. Let's kind of readjust things over here again. I'm being pretty cavalier with my rub-ons, and I can do that because they're stapled together. But really, you should probably move those off to the side and have it, so nothing's going to happen to them. So when we look at this, hello 2026 is just kind of right up here in the, oops, pull that little release, pull that backer off. And this is just going right up here. And remember our trick with the rub-ons, we want to hold on, we don't want to let go. So I'm holding on one half and rubbing on the other half. And I'm slowly moving my finger over, but eventually I can't get to where my finger is. So I'm rotating it because then I can come at it from this side because I'm right-handed. I didn't move it, right? I was still holding on the whole time, and that's kind of the key with rub-ons. You want to hold on so that that rub-on doesn't move. If it moves, part of it is rubbed on and part of it is not, and then you're going to have movement, you know, in your image when you're done. Okay, now let's grab our little tweezers, and I'm still holding on, and I want to just start to reveal. Because, and these rub-ons are pretty awesome. I mean, they release very well, but as I pull off, if there's any part of that rub-on, because I'm still holding on, that did not release, I just lay it right back down, grab my rub-on tool or my popsicle stick, and, you know, rub it again and then lift off. Right? So that was the first thing. Now we're kind of embracing this whole, you know, New Year's Eve kind of theme here. So we're grabbing a little bottle of whatever your favorite sparkling cider is, sparkling beverage, right? Could be sparkling cider, it could be Prosecco, it could be champagne, whatever, you know, whatever works for you. Where is, oh yeah, I'm like, where is that? Okay, we'll cover that in a minute. We need our little glasses for our sparkling beverage. And we have this Pop Fizz Clink. But guess what? Pop Fizz Clink is not a die cut. So don't go looking through your die cuts thinking that something happened. It is actually one of your 3x4 cards, right? So sometimes I like to fussy cut some of the images on the 3x4 cards because I would like to use this as a little die cut instead. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it twice. I'm cutting with my regular scissors first, and I am getting, you know, kind of in there, but I'm not too close, right? I'm not using these scissors for my fussy cutting, but I want to remove most of the excess because that'll make it a lot easier. Now I'm going to trade my larger scissors for my fussy cutting scissors. When it comes to fussy cutting, if that's not a term you're familiar with, it's basically cutting something smaller out of something that you have, right? So we're fussy cutting Pop Fizz Clink out of that larger card. When you're fussy cutting, you want to work with your smallest pair of scissors that you have. So if this is the smallest pair of scissors you have, you want to use these. Don't go using your 12-inch scissors that you use for cutting yards of fabric, right? Your life will be much easier if you use smaller scissors. But I even go smaller with my little fussy cutting scissors. So the trick to these, you'll notice, these look like not your regular pair of scissors, right? And they work the same in that they cut, but you hold them very differently. There's nowhere in these to put your fingers like this, right? These lay in the palm of your hand, right like this, okay? There's little ridges here on the front, ridges on the back. Those are where your fingers place, all right? So your thumb places right there, your pointer finger faces right there, and the rest of that just lays in the palm of your hand. So look at the movement in my fingers. Do you see how I'm barely moving to cut? Barely moving to cut. That gives me so much more control as opposed to something like this. And if you have arthritis, if you have issues with your hands, carpal tunnel, something like this requires a lot of more movement than that does. So these are designed for fussy cutting. It's actually a medical device. They're medical scissors. But I have a manufacturer powder coat them for me and put my logo on, and there we go. So what I'm going to do is, these are sitting in my hand like this. I'm holding my die cut in the other hand, my non-dominant hand, and I am keeping my hand still. You'll notice my right hand is staying still, other than the fact that I'm just barely moving my thumb and my pointer finger. But I am using my left hand or my non-dominant hand to do all the work, really all the work. It is kind of moving it for me. So much easier if you are someone that literally detests fussy cutting, then having the right tool makes life so much easier. All right, so there we go. I didn't use a circle punch. You don't need to use a circle punch. Now, a trick for me when I fussy cut, I leave a little bit of the background. It's far easier for me to do that if I leave a little bit of the background. In this case, because now I have that little thin pink line all the way around. If I tried to get right there next to that pink line, you know what would happen? I'd end up with no pink line some places, and I'd be getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the next thing you know, that'd be the size of a penny. That doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so now we're going to do our layering. And this guy is basically everything here is popped. This guy's popped, this guy sits on top, and then this guy, one stem underneath and one above. So let's get, if I had my larger pop dots handy, I would be using my larger pop dots or foam tape, just because that's kind of a larger surface area to, you know, put these little guys on. So we'll just get some on there. Make it easy. I won't fully do what I would normally do, but we just want to at least get, you know, around the outside perimeter of the circle and then kind of in the center there. All right, so Pop Fizz Clink. We're looking ahead to 2026. This guy is just kind of going to go right there. And then next up, as we layer, I need to do this guy because he's partially under here and I can still kind of tuck him under there. But I want to add little pop dots behind this guy. Now, keep in mind, on mine, it is sticking over the top. So I don't want to add them up here. I want to add them a little bit lower. Or else you will seal shut your little thing. Your little opening. So we just kind of put those much lower. And we don't need to use any other adhesive than that because those little foam squares will hold all of that in place. So one is getting tucked under. I'm just going to slide it under there. And this little guy is sitting over. Now, I don't have any adhesive here yet, so I'm okay. I'm not worried that I won't be able to get my sparkling beverage bottle under there. And this guy, we will add a couple of pop dots too. And when I'm doing this, I want to make sure, oops, I put it on the wrong side. I want to steer clear from this edge because this edge is going to sit on top of here. So if I do that, kind of put that there, everything is fitting lovely. And there's our little kind of layered little open piece. And if you're like, oh, but Lael, I'd really like to use the look back, then guess what? Just cut the look back, use it for something else and put your adhesive on there. Hello, Panda Stamps. You're good, hon. Because it's all recorded. So once it's done, you can go back and watch from the beginning. But we're getting close. We're getting close to being done with our setup. All right, so there we go. Now, you have two inserts. If you purchase the season pass kit, you have the option of getting the kit with or without inserts. So if you got the inserts, you have your two inserts. And you can use your inserts for whatever you would like. One thing I want to point out, I don't ever use these for this. This is my Traveler's Notebook insert, one of them that I use for my listing, okay? I do not use this setup for this. This doesn't go anywhere until it is completely done. Once it's done, I pull this cover off and I recover this because this is what happens. It starts to get so full, it outgrows. It's like your pants on Thanksgiving, you outgrow them, right? This outgrows the cover. But so I don't, if I wanted to use this for this, it'd be really hard for me to do just because this will continue to grow. Does that make sense? So I don't use this setup for my listing. I use this, like I said, for my calendar, project planning, all different kinds of things like that. But you do whatever you'd like. But I do get that question of, do I use this for my list? Okay, so now these two are done. If you have never worked with a Traveler's Notebook before, the way that they work is through the elastic. So mine have 4 elastics. Your inserts slide right through the elastics, and that is what holds everything in place. And because there are 4 elastics, you could use up to 4 inserts in one notebook. And actually, and I won't overcomplicate things, but you could use actually more inserts. But you can do some other things with that. But for all intents and purposes, 4. So that is what I have done with the January portion of Season Pass that everyone has. So if you bought Season Pass, the kit, then you now have used everything I did. There's one other thing I did over here. You'll notice that my snow here is sparkly. I used a little bit of Stickles, Okay, I use Stardust Stickles. This is glitter glue. And I just kind of squeezed it in those little areas. So if you have Stickles and you want to do something like that, or Wink of Stella or something, you could add that to that. Just kind of a fun little touch. But now what I always do when I am done with my setup, then I come to the calendar insert. And normally what I do is in class, for the past years that I've done this, I have had my calendar for the month, in this case January, and I would decorate my calendar with what I had left. What I have done and what I am doing this year is I'm doing that ahead of time. And so I will show you what I did with the calendar insert for the month of January. And I did not use anything that you guys don't have in the kit. So if I had already used a die cut in my setup over here, I didn't use it here because I don't have it, right? I didn't open another pack. So I have basically used rub-ons and stamps and die cuts to decorate my calendar for the month of January. So I used this is where I started really bringing in the colors of the rub-ons, right? In the other setup, I kept everything, on my pockets and even on one of the slip covers. I use the black ones, but here is where I am bringing in the color. So you'll see like there, I used a little snowflake, and that was a snowflake rub-on in the center of the A. But here I've used the stamp. Over here, and these, you guys, so there's a lot of thinking that goes into product, believe it or not. When you see these little guys, the black and white, these little guys, you'll see for each month or kind of each season or each month, whatever. Winter, you have those little check boxes. Hot cocoa, snow day, warm mittens, falling snow, snowman. Same thing for January or February, same thing for March. But these little guys are sized. Look at, if you wanted to add them into any of these places, they are sized to fit in between those little lines. And that is, I used it as one rub-on. That's how I think that would be used as one rub-on, as opposed to trying to cut all those little guys apart and use them separately. You could, but I put those there. Now, sometimes you might really be writing things that you're doing this month, but I decorated. That's also a rub-on there. I put birthdays here. And under notes and ideas, kind of my plan, because this is kind of more decorative for me. I use a whole, like for really my day-to-day planning, I use a whole different planner. So notes and ideas, I've just added a little stamp. Here, that is rub-on. When you look at the colored rub-on sheet, it's divided into 3 sections. Top section, separated by that scallop. Middle section for February, separated by the scallop. Bottom section for March, separated by the scallop. So you can kind of see that way. So this is how I use the scallop on one of the pages right there. Did you draw out your calendar? My Creative Roots. No, this is my monthly calendar insert. So let me just pull this off so you can see. This is one of my products, that monthly calendar insert. So your calendar is already kind of the bones of it is already done for you when you buy that calendar insert. But it's undated. So I always sit down. The first thing that I would do is I would come in and I date the little squares. Okay, so I date it for the month. Now, one thing that you could do, if you're using this, here's another one. If you're using this monthly calendar insert and you also happen to have this guy, the month by month sticker book. The month by month sticker book, this was released earlier this month, these are all little individual squares. So 1 is a separate sticker, 2 is a separate sticker, 3 is a separate sticker. So you could use these to date your calendar and you end up with 1 or 2 on every sheet. So the idea there is you could use them to date your calendar, or you could use them to number lists or things like that. So you've got lots of different options. If you didn't want to have to write those in, you could just use those little numbers for your calendar. But then this is what it looks like blank. Okay, so you can kind of see your blank slate and then when it's decorated. But as you continue over here, die cut, word strip sticker, rub on, stamp, rub on, die cut, rub on, word strip sticker, stamp, rub on, stamp, word strip sticker, rub on. This, you guys, that rub on and this design in the stamp set This is one of the key kind of design elements that you will see in some Lail by Mail products coming in 2026, starting with season pass, but those kind of little word art cluster kind of things. So, and then another die cut. So when I do my calendar like this, basically I'm putting travel and I'm kind of putting meetings and appointments. So that's how I use this calendar. In between each month, there is a blank spread. All right. So someone mentioned earlier, if they're using this calendar insert, what do you do with this blank spread? So here are some ideas. You have still lots of product left, right? You have rub-ons that you haven't used. You have stamps you haven't used. You have die cuts that you haven't used. You might be doing lists in here. You could maybe do a currently list or a favorites list. You could do in the news. You could add photos here. There's so many different things that you could do in between that spread. But this is purposefully left very kind of a blank slate. So you could use that for whatever you wanted to. And then you move into the next month. And guess what? February is already decorated because you know I did it. And then even March. So I've decorated everything for the first 3 months of season pass. And when we get to those months for class, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about what I did there. But the fun thing about this is it's all just very free, right? You use the things you have left and you just kind of make your calendar look cute. And then you have this as a, a little memorabilia or at the end of the year, right? You kind of have this your whole fun calendar all decorated and done. Boko, hello Boko48. What products do you use for your creative listing traveler's notebook? Is there a kit? Oh, Boko48, we could sit down and have a big long conversation. Why don't you do this? Do you want to shoot me an email at lailbymail@gmail.com? I will send you some resources. Every week when I'm not traveling, we are here on my YouTube channel on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we are doing our creative listing. And a couple days ahead of time, I publish topics of our lists, and I tell you what I'm going to be using. But you can really use anything. There's a free class here on my YouTube channel about how to get started creative listing to give you some ideas on different topics to start with. But if you want to shoot me an email, I can kind of share a little bit more information for you that way. Carol said, Laura Lee did a great sample with the highlight stamp. That was a great idea to add in here. You guys, I cannot emphasize enough that my creative team is so good, and they do such cool things with my products. So if you are looking at any part of season pass, or you're looking at the calendar insert, look at the additional images on the website that are, part of that product. You will see so many great ideas. And what Carol is bringing up, you'll see one of the examples that Laura Lee did. So they just blow me away. And I just love that we can all, and this is you guys too, right? We can all look like it's something like this, or a piece of paper, or a card like this. And no two of us would use it the same, right? So many different ideas. Such great inspiration for you out there. Let's see. Sarah said, I love this calendar insert. Everything I need, a big improvement for Carpe Diem. The blank pages are perfect for me, notes, etc. But in the news, great idea too. All right, friends. So I think, Boko, that you may have missed when you got it. Good. Okay, good. Because I saw your question come up again. And I love that you asked again, because sometimes I totally miss things. Yeah, shoot me an email. Denise said, that's why I bought an extra paper pack and rub-ons, because this is the other thing that you guys will see me do. I just moved the light. So here, let me rotate the camera so you can see me. Rotating. There we go. It's going to look kind of dark in here because, the main lights aren't on, and then I moved the other lights. Let me turn the main light on. Let's see. You will also see me use some of these products again in some of our creative listing sessions. All right. So, Boko, to answer your question, I do use these, but I use lots of other things as well. But I do use these in some of my creative lists. So I'm just going to pop in and see if I can. We looked at this one. This was basically my November set up in my traveler's notebook. Then I cut apart and then used it in a list for my creative listing. But that was kind of taking what we had already done. Just really quick, let me look through here and see. I know there's, just don't know if it's in this insert or not. Here's one. So that list, that is product from the fall summer fall traveler's notebook project, or excuse me, summer fall season pass. So sometimes that's what I'm using. I'm using some of that product for my list too. All right. So you will see me continue to do that. And in that case, I will obviously use more than we use today because I've used all the paper today. So I usually have a couple paper packs that I use throughout the 3 months. And obviously I only need the stamps once and I only need the word strip stickers once. But, rub-ons or die cuts, you may decide you need to pick up an extra pack or something like that. Well, you guys, that was so fun, and I'm glad so many of you joined us, and we're curious whether you have used a Traveler's Notebook before or whether you purchased Season Pass. I love that you kind of were just saying, you know what, I want to see what this is all about. So again, I will. These will be free every month. They'll be free every month, and the best way to know when they're happening, 2 ways, okay? The best way to know when it's happening is to make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hit the notification button, and then that way you'll be notified. But also, they're always going out in an email, so as long as you're signed up for my emails at lailbymail.com, you'll get advance notice of when the class is scheduled. And also, I put them up on my Lail by Mail Facebook page and Lail by Mail Facebook group. So if you're around, then you will know. And the other thing too is if you miss it, you can always go back and rewatch it. So they will not go anywhere. They'll always be here on my YouTube channel. There is also a free classes page on my website at lailbymail.com. So these will also start to be added as we, continue to do them throughout the year on the free classes page on my website. Okay? I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for joining me. I see lots of things coming up in the chat that I'm missing, but love that you guys had fun. You came out cute. Love that you love it. Okay, you guys, Happy New Year, right? Happy New Year. One more day. So today's the 30th, tomorrow's the 31st, and then we're open and embracing a new year and closing the door on 2025 and not looking back in the rearview mirror, right? Yeah, we're ready to move forward. If you normally list with me on Saturdays, we are listing this Saturday, which is, I think, the 3rd. Oh, I know how I can tell what day it is. We'll just open up my calendar here. Yes, Saturday the 3rd. We are listing this Saturday the 3rd here on my YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and that is also live. Again, email usually goes out on Thursday for that, but if you're subscribed on YouTube, you'll also, receive the little notification. So have a safe day, evening tomorrow if you are celebrating. And if you're staying at home and, binging on Netflix and having a, nice fire, snuggle up in a blanket, then enjoy that as well. There's no right or wrong way to do New Year's Eve, right? Especially as you get older. When our kids were little, we used to trick them and we would watch the ball drop in New York City, on TV. We're Utah, so we're 2 hours earlier. So we'd pretend that was New Year's, that was it. And we'd celebrate and then we'd all go home and go to bed, right? And so they bought that for a long time. And then, as we got older, but really more into, maybe really celebrating, we'd stay up till midnight and celebrate. And now I think we're back on the other side of that bell curve, right? Now we're back down to maybe let's watch TV at 10 and we see the ball drop in New York and then we're like, Happy New Year's, and then we go to bed, right? Anyhow, however you're celebrating, have a lovely, lovely, lovely celebration. And I hope to see you on Saturday. List with us because not as structured as this because it's not a kit, but still tons of fun and lots of education and lots of laughing too. And then if not, I hope to see you for later in January for our, I was looking at my calendar to see when that is. I think it's the 26th. I think I have that scheduled for January 26th. I hope to see you later in January when we get back together and do our setup for February. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye. And now I've got to walk, this is still old school where I've got to manually turn all these things off. So in a couple months, everything will be automated and it'll be so fancy. All right, goodbye.